What do you make of all of this tension? Was this clearly seen as a misstep by Carrie Lam?
I think so. And you saw what was interesting in the middle of last week. You saw Beijing more or less explicitly say that it was Lam driving this. And so that was trying to give the authorities in Beijing some distance for her to withdraw this bill, at least temporarily. And it really has been a terrible misstep on her part and a misreading of public sentiment in Hong Kong.
Of course, Michael, what makes it so interesting is this is at heart a human rights rally, and this is China. So at what point does Beijing simply not allow this to continue in a way that, one imagines it could at some point?
Well, it's difficult. You have Beijing monitoring, of course, or worried about their de facto control over Hong Kong, and then implications for the domestic audience within mainland China. I tend to think that Beijing is going to be very reluctant to see Lam step down from power early, because that would really be emboldening further protests, which is not something that Beijing wants to see. But they have a very difficult situation. I mean, if Lam is severely hobbled, if she does not have any political capital, that's quite difficult for them as well. But I think they will not want to see her step down early from power.
The interesting thing that you said earlier was China trying to distance itself from this. And you had the ambassador to China for the UK, I think, come out and really sort of say Beijing did not order this. Did they?
That's always difficult to say. It's a very opaque process. My own interpretation is that Beijing has been setting the principles in terms of where they want the Hong Kong government to go. I don't know that they specifically told Lam to do this. I tend to think that this was her reading the directives from Beijing and then trying to find an opening, and this murder case with Taiwan provided an opening for her to push through what she thought Beijing wanted to see. So very difficult to say, but it feels to me like this particular opening was one that Lam chose rather than having Beijing directing her.
So, Michael, this, of course, coming as there continue to be hopes that President Trump and President Xi will meet, be able to speak at the G20, make some kind of headway. Are there implications, I guess, losing of face implications on the Chinese side of the equation that might make this play into those hopes?
Well, I think if this situation had continued to escalate and you had seen further violence, it would have been a much more difficult backdrop for the G20. At this point, I think it's there. It is an issue that is going to be part of the backdrop. But I don't see President Trump pushing this issue. And now that there's been de-escalation, I don't think it's something that he's going to raise in a forceful way. I would say the bigger issues for G20 will be North Korea, and we've just learned that President Xi is planning a trip, his first trip to North Korea in coming days, and the trade and technology issues that are at the center of the dispute, in particular Huawei. So I view those as being more important now that we've seen the Hong Kong situation de-escalate a bit.